Unlocking Marital Bliss.
You're so welcome once again. This is Unlocking Marital Bliss with Miss Iris Rod, dealing with loss of a child when you're married. Is it something that happens to women, or is a child a being that belongs to the man and the woman? We're going to get to know how this works, dealing with loss of a child.
The best way to deal with such a loss is first you have to accept it. You have to accept that this is what God has brought into your life. You have to accept that bad things happen to everyone.
The loss of a child is one of the biggest atrocities of life. How to deal with it? First of all, it has to be in phases. First of all, the counselors have to be there, and in your various religious beliefs, you need to accept that the child is gone. But if you're married, there is still hope that you could get other children.
The loss of a child in a miscarriage leaves a lot of questions in your mind, most especially when it is not once, twice, but thrice.
First of all, we have to know that children are a gift and a blessing from God. And we know that as Christians, God He never wants to punish us. So if something like that happened, I'll really put it in prayer. Yes, you'll ask God so many questions when certain things like that really happen. You ask God, why me? Why is it happening?
Talking about it with your spouse, sit down, bring up those memories, how you felt.
You open up. If God helps you, it can actually rekindle the love.
If there's that trying moment, a man must 100% be on his wife's side. I mean, with his strength and courage, a woman can become stronger and stronger again.
Healing process takes long, but believe me, the best healing method is having hope and belief in God.
My advice to men is that they shouldn't blame the women, because when a child dies, it's not the woman's liking. It's not the woman's liking that this child has died. It is just God's plan. So you just have to understand your woman and come together as a couple, encourage each other so that you keep trying. Maybe there's some other time or next time it can happen and you get a child.
Men should equate the female problems to the problems they encounter. You encounter problems at work. The same way sometimes when you don't get money, the way you feel is the same way women go through certain problems. Because, believe me, no woman wants to lose a child. That is a very long process. 9 months is not like eating food for dinner or breakfast. So, first of all, a man should understand the nature of the woman and understand that you cannot bear the pain the person is going through, but you can be there for them. And I believe with being there for them, with time, you can go and get other babies.
I would like to thank the producer of this program. I learn a lot from this program. I watch it every Sunday. Please continue the good work.
We'll be back once again. This is Cyrus Rod with Unlocking Marital Bliss, talking to Ketcho. And I thank you so much that you've accepted to be around. Now, you lost James at 7 weeks.
7 weeks. It was February 2017. And then I didn't even wait, because my doctor said, no, you can try again. So I immediately conceived. Like, not immediately, but like 2 months, because April is when I had Ketangaza. I conceived.
Ketangaza, you conceived for Ketangaza in April.
Yeah.
Now you had James, and then 7 weeks, James was gone.
Yeah.
How did James go?
Well, what the medical term is missed abortion. He self-aborted. There was no heartbeat. So when I went to the doctors, they're like, there's no heartbeat, we cannot see, we cannot hear. I was like, no. This is not happening. So I took my time to go back to see the medical practitioners. But as you're waiting, you're like, okay, let's say it's Thursday. You're like, okay, I'll go on Monday, right? So on Friday evening, I was seated the veranda, just chill, and I just felt something in between my legs. I was like, this is not right. So my husband was there, luckily enough. So I went to my room in my bathroom. And I stayed there from 7 p.m. to midnight.
Alone in the bathroom?
Yeah. I locked. I was ashamed, first of all, because this was a clear rejection. My child had rejected me. That was what was going through my...
Absolutely.
I felt betrayed by my body.
I wanted to carry you, baby.
Yeah.
Then
But
why do you reject me? Why don't you let me carry you?
and I was angry at my womb. I was like, you can't hold
A
baby.
Are
And
you a woman in half?
yeah, those were the
What
thoughts
kind
that...
of thoughts?
Yeah, those are the thoughts that are going through my head, and I didn't want my husband to see me in my weakness that moment. So I locked the door, and he, though very caring, he stayed on the other side of the door, and he's like, "Are you okay? Are you fine?" And you're going through, because it's not a constant, like the pieces chuck themselves constantly. It comes like then you relax. Then so from 7 to midnight. And he was on the other side of the door the whole time. So when I came out, I purposed. And in my head, I was like, God, me and you, we are going to figure out what just happened. Because I don't understand. This person was promised. You said you give freely. What happened? So I set out calendars. When is ovulation? When is... I was very prepared. Yeah. So when I was ovulating the highest, I told my husband now. He was looking at me, he's like, this is so mechanical. I was like, it's happening. It's happening, it's happening. So we conceived, and I knew.
But before you go into the second conception,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. You were able, this is something, you mentioned something that really got my heart. You locked yourself inside the bathroom, and your husband was on the other side, and you never wanted your husband to see you at your weakest point. There are many women out there that never want their partners to see them at the weakest point. Many men out there, we don't want our spouses to see us at our weakest point. But I think it is very important that we get to love people unconditionally, so that they can see us even at our weakest points, and we are not afraid that they're going to reject us, but we know that they will accept us. That the problem is not with my wife that she couldn't carry a baby. The baby rejected her. It is all right. She is not cursed. Baby, I still love you. I still care for you. You are not cursed.
Yeah. And that's literally the thing that I think we have to echo, because in our weaknesses, God is made strong. That's literally what it is.
Exactly.
So when we start, because society has put us in a box of don't show your weaknesses. People don't like that. People will, So, and that is what I had absorbed. And it's only till I went through it, the second one, is when I realized vulnerability is strength. It is a strength.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, so you went through it, and that is something our viewers are able to learn, that actually vulnerability is strength. In fact, a relationship that has no vulnerability is a relationship that is not strong. Vulnerability is strength, so you got to be vulnerable. You open up to each other no matter how weak you are, and that builds you up so strongly. Now then, from there you have lost that, and then in 2 months you're conceiving.
I'm conceiving. I've got my calendar. I've got my ovulation sticks. We're ready. We're good to go. So we conceive. I even knew. I said, this is the one. This is the day when we conceived. I circled it. So we counted our 6 weeks.
Very articulate.
Counted. Went to the doctor. First peed on sticks, of course. All of them were 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And I was like, yes. So waited 6 weeks. Went to see the doctor. I was like, okay, now bed rest. I told him, huh? He said, yeah. I'm not taking any chances. Bed rest. I was thrown off, So I was thrown off, and we were not ready for this, because, it was just a bad thing to happen there and then. But my husband sat me down and said, we want this. This is a sacrifice.
Bed rest.
Yeah. And I'm not a chiller. I don't know how to sit. I'm those people who, like, now I'm like, okay, where are we going next? Now imagine for like the next... you have to be seated, and you can't do anything about it. Now, of course, there were a couple of challenges along the way. You find yourself sporting and you're like, "Ah, it's happening again, you know." And you don't know that you're going through post-traumatic stress because you didn't, first of all, I didn't mourn James. I just moved into, we are going to try again. I didn't get the moment to say, okay, we've lost. How do we grieve? How have we acknowledged it? I didn't even acknowledge James. I think I acknowledged James. There's a point where I was grieving and the counselor told me, you have like 5 griefs in there. You have your mother, you have James, you have Keita, you have your marriage. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, you're just jumbled up. There's Katogo inside there. So we need to pull it out one by one by one. And James was actually a very key point because that rejection from a child, someone who has no inkling to who you are, but just it
Rejects you.
yeah, that was my breaking point. But I didn't acknowledge my breaking point. Yeah.
So now you conceive, and then you have Ketangaza.
Then we have Ketangaza. We name her.
What does Ketangaza mean?
Ketangaza means she's amazing.
She's amazing.
In Ruchiga, it is Okutangaza. It's bright lights, like,
Okay.
you know? Yeah, so that's what she... And I think we just started speaking life into her from the word go. We knew she was going to be pretty. We knew she was going to be tall. She was going to be... I think I spoke her into being... Because, yeah.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
She was so pretty. She was tall. Had so much silky black hair. And was so light-skinned. The pediatrician verified that she was a girl. I couldn't move my hands, but I really wanted to hold her. She started screaming again. They told me they had to take her to the neonatal intensive care unit. This is an intensive care nursery for premature babies. I didn't think she needed one. She had scored 8 out of 10. That would be the last time I saw her alive. That would be the last time I saw her alive.
Yeah.
You had a C-section.
Yeah.
They removed her.
Yeah.
She was pretty. And that is the last time you saw her alive when they were taking her away from you.
Yeah. They, because my water broke early at 8 months, my doctor had to try and manage no infections or anything. And he was like, listen, let's get her out. Let her be safe. Let her be safe. Let you be safe. I don't want to leave her in any longer.
Okay.
But he was conflicted because her organs had not, you know, the last organs to develop actually are your lungs.
Okay.
As a baby. So he was like, we just need to buy some time. So I went into the hospital on 25th. Ketangaza was born on 28th. So for those 3 days, I'm being pumped of steroids to try and get her to start acting up very quickly, yeah? So we had prayed that they actually worked. And I think they did to a certain point, but I don't know what happened between that moment and 4 hours later.
4 hours later, what happens? When I look at your book and your stories, it's quite an amazing book. When I look at all of this, I look very beautiful and amazing. Dr. Emma walked in. He asks people to leave the room. I had never seen him looking this serious. He's a jolly guy, smiling, but this time he wasn't smiling. He sat by my side and says, I wish I had good news for you. But Ketchel, the baby didn't make it. That's 4 hours after.
That's 4 hours
Dr.
after.
Emma tells you, Ketchel, the baby didn't make it.
Yeah, and I don't know. When I was in the theater, I had had, you know how you're praying and what? And it was a season where many mothers were dying. This is Christmas 2017. I think November 2017. We were on a group called Mama Tendo on Facebook. And mothers were dying. So in my head, I don't know. I think I didn't pray so much for her as much as myself to get out safely. So when you're out, you know, out of surgery, they put you somewhere so that you stabilize. And while I was there, I kept praying and I kept hearing one lung. And I was like, but she was screaming her head off. It can't be her lung. But you know how you just pass it over. So when he came to tell me, because they took forever, it was actually my breast milk which alerted me that this girl is hungry. There's milk. She needs to be fed. So I tell my cousin, I'm like, go and get my baby. Because we need to feed her. She hasn't eaten. And you know, before you go for C-section, you don't eat for, I don't know, 24 hours. So the last time I ate a meal was like Christmas Eve or something like that.
Yeah.
So we were going through this whole motion and no one is saying anything. I think that was the most annoying thing for me. That information was not getting to me. I didn't even know that she had a problem with one of her lungs. If I hadn't had that one lung, like I actually found out what she died from the day when we were discharged, because they give you that death certificate there, and it was like respiratory something, dysfunction, and I was like, hey, okay,
The one lung thing comes back.
Yeah, so it came back, and I was like, okay, this is it. So we have to be either way. I don't know. I had to be attentive at the same time, pray for her at the same time, help my. You see all this balancing, yeah. And I was just not doing it very well. I was not managing it at all. So.
No, with that having happened, you've lost James. Within the same year, you're losing Kate Ngazo.
Yeah.
A span of less than a year, you lose 2 babies.
Yeah.
How do you view those babies?
I don't. Well, I don't know. I count them as my babies. I think that's more like it. I call them angels because.
Actually, the Bible calls them angels.
Yeah. But there's also a mystery about angels that
They
they
have
don't.
angels
They
that
have
watch
much
over
of
them,
a.
actually.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So.
Those angels watch over those babies.
Yeah.
So seriously, I've heard the title Angel Mom.
Yes. Because your child died, left you, but they have that status wherever they are. So you are mother to an angel, because that child came through you.
Actually, I can say this. There's a man who went to heaven. He's called Robert Slyden. And he wrote a book called I Went to Heaven. I think something like that. And he said, all the mothers that have had miscarriages, those are babies.
Yeah.
A baby is a baby the moment conception takes place.
Yeah.
Said once these babies were growing, he said, I saw many babies, and the Lord told him, all those are those who have been miscarried.
Yeah.
All those that have been aborted. He receives them and causes them to grow.
There we go.
Causes them to grow.
Yeah.
And it's so encouraging. But now, that aside, there are many people watching us that have had miscarriages.
Yeah.
But how did you face this? 2 in 1 year. One is self-aborted, something like that.
Yeah. Misabortion. Yeah.
Misabortion, that's the medical term.
Yeah.
And then the other one comes out, you even are able to look at her. She's so beautiful, so pretty. And 4 hours later, she's also dead. You've prepared the baby clothes. You've prepared everything, the formula, everything. And she is not there to enjoy it.
I didn't handle it well. I'll just tell you right now, I didn't handle it well.
Exactly.
That's
what I want to hear from you.
I didn't, because there's no, okay, I come from a background, professor and a lecturer, so there's always a book to read to go through your season. So when I was going through
Your father is a professor?
Yeah, my father's a professor, my mother was a lecturer.
Oh my God.
So there's, you'd go and ask a question.
Every situation you gotta read the book.
Everything,
Education.
That is it. There was always a book somewhere. So I go to my father and I'm like, what book am I reading? He just looked at it. I don't.
Oh dear.
I don't know. The Bible, maybe. I'm like, who? And he's like, aren't you in the same situation God was when his child was on the cross? I said, my child was not on any cross. My child came, I held my child, and my child is not here. He says, I don't know, maybe you write the book.
And that is how you came up with this?
Yeah.
So what next?
Yeah. So that was my healing. And everyone who comes to me is like, how do you even? I was like, I wrote. There is so much power in writing. I keep telling people, telling your story is so powerful that when you keep it inside, you're being selfish.
Absolutely, because right now many people are being edified because of what you went through.
Yeah.
They can relate, they can identify. They say, so you know what? I'm not the first,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to be the last.
No, you're not going to be the last, you're not. And
I think
literally,
this is so important for people to know, even our viewers to understand.
yeah.
Whatever happens to you, get this. You are not the first, and you're not going to be the last.
Yeah.
This stuff happens
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah.
You're not the first, and you're not going to be the last.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, because society now has made us be hush-hush about this. So you find, like, even people who come up to ask me, they're like, please don't tell. And I'm like, hi.
You got to tell it out.
I'm
I
like,
think
man.
hush hush is not a way of handling a challenge.
No.
Because when you don't know how to handle it and you think, I'll just keep quiet, that's the best way to do it, you're actually losing.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to lose a child, because we're dealing with losing a child
Yeah.
in marriage. Can
Yeah.
you still have bliss
Yeah.
when stuff like that happens?
Yeah.
When you lose a child, I want you to understand something. If you don't know how to handle it, you're going to lose much more.
Yeah.
Even the bliss in your marriage,
Yeah.
and you're going to lose who you are, and it's going to be so disastrous. But I want to bring this question back to you.
Yeah.
Now the loss has occurred. Yes, I read somewhere in the book where you went up mad, confused. You said, why, God, why?
Yeah.
What was going on at that point?
I had bathroom moments. I call them bathroom moments. Every mother, angel mom knows bathroom moments. It's like 3 a.m. The whole entire everywhere is quiet, and it's just you and God, and you're fighting God. We all have an Jacob moment where you fight with God, and we are literally like, what was the point of this? Why make me go through 8 months? Why even try? What? Just leave me. Why? And the response, I think it was the 3rd day, I think I had overcried, and I had the Holy Spirit, and it's like, you're asking the most irrelevant question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Man, our viewers need to hear that. I want you to look in the camera and say exactly what you heard. Once again.
You are asking the most irrelevant question.
And you protested.
No, of course I was like, I thought it was the drugs, because you think, oh my God, because you're taking painkillers. I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing my own things. It's like, you're asking the most irrelevant question. And I was like, okay. So my daughter and I had started this thing of obedience is immediate. So I was like, okay, what question should I be asking, right? That's what I was thinking. And so I'm like, what should I be asking? It's like, why are you trying to figure this out?
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
And I was like, because I'm offended. Something has happened. I have a pain. We need to get the reason out, right? Isn't that how we think as human beings? Right. So I was like, no, there has to be a why to this whole thing. Like, show me at least, okay, give me a glimpse.
Oh, come on.
No, that was me. Yeah.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's not only you.
Yeah.
That is a very profound moment,
Yeah.
even in this particular show.
Yeah.
Why me? And then God is able to tell you it's an irrelevant question.
Yeah.
Some people probably have had that and they're watching
Yeah.
and they're thinking, you mean he said that to somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean Kecho went through the same?
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges we face when we come up with why is simply because we think that we deserve better.
Yeah.
When bad stuff happens, we think it's not fair.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Never ask a question. Why do bad things happen to good people? I have good news for you. Why do good things happen to bad people? So you don't have an answer to both questions. And because you don't have an answer, learn one thing. Lose control.
Yeah.
The only reason we ask all these questions is because we want to be in control. And God allows certain things to happen to break the control so we may see how great and mighty He is and who He is in our lives. Then you will be able to flow in a relationship with Him more than you being in control of everything. He has a purpose for your life. Why me? Why not you? Are you so special? God has a purpose for your life. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. We're dealing with loss. And I have my special guest, Denise Kekimuri.
Unlocking marital bliss. Unlocking marital bliss.
Right now, thank you for coming back. This is still Cyrus Rod, and you're watching Unlocking Marital Bliss. Before we went for the break, we had something so special that we were bringing out, and we're dealing with loss of a child in marriage, or loss of children. When loss happens in marriage, many marriages lose their bliss. But the good part about this is when loss happens in marriage, you know how to handle it so that you maintain the bliss in your marriage. Now, Kecho. I prefer calling you Kecho, man. That sounds so sweet. Kecho. Now, you have lost 2 children. You try to do the why me, and that whole why me now is out of the place.
Yeah.
We've got to understand that actually God will permit certain things to happen in our lives so that we may even get to know him better. David says that I had gone astray until I was afflicted.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
It was the affliction that brought him back in line.
Yeah.
So we're facing a challenge today in our churches because we don't understand pain. We don't understand grief.
No.
Jesus is called a man of sorrows
Yeah.
and acquainted with grief.
Yeah.
But those who claim to believe in him run away from sorrow.
They don't want it.
They run away from grief. They think they're secure when pain is not there. I totally agree. Man introduced pain
Yeah.
by disobeying God.
Yeah.
But God took a hold of pain that he's able to use it
Yeah.
to even reveal who he is to us.
Yes.
He's able to use it.
That is it.
So you went through pain. Do you agree that you know God better than you knew him before this happened?
I don't even know what I was doing back in the days. I don't know what I was doing, but you can't go through something like this and not see God for yourself. Like you cannot do that to yourself. You can't.
So in
go
other
through
words,
this.
what you went through, actually, you're able to say thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
After losing 2 children,
After losing 2 children.
you can lift up your hands.
I can kutendereza in the morning and night, and it's something that
It doesn't make sense to an
No.
average mind.
There's no one who's going to like I keep telling my angel moms, and I'm like, the sad part about this thing is it's a familiarity thing. It's like God is trying to put us together because we can only explain it to one another. If I sit with someone who has never lost a child, they're not going to get it. In fact, they'll get angry that I'm not sad for losing my child, or that I've gotten up so quickly. Or there are others who, when I was going through it, they're like, but you get others, you know. So it's an offense, it's an offensive kind of thing that God gets you out and says, okay, let me raise you up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let them see what's happening. That I can take you through all this, and you will still
And you
come
still
out,
praise me.
and you will still praise me, and you'll be calling me night and day. It strengthens. It definitely does strengthen, and you get to know him from a point of, I am doing this for your good.
That
Not
is-
I am doing this to harm
destroy
you.
you.
No. And that's the lie that the devil wants to bring in
and
when
that
you go
he-
through
he
this.
promotes it everywhere.
Yeah.
And now when people don't understand that,
Yeah.
they begin telling people, no, that's not God, that
Yeah.
will never happen.
Yeah.
And it brings more confusion. People begin living a fantasy life.
Yeah, they
and
do.
nothing breaks fantasy like pain.
Yeah. Totally.
Nothing breaks
Yeah.
fantasy like pain.
Yeah.
And the only way God will break you out of the fantasy life is to let the pain be.
Yeah.
Jesus is considered a man acquainted with grief.
Yeah.
Now he's acquainted because he's suffered it.
He's suffered it.
He's gone through
Yeah.
it. He's experienced it.
Yeah.
And he's not among those who think it will never happen to me. That can never happen to me. The grief may not be a loss of a child. It may come in a different
In a
way,
different-
but it may be a husband cheating on you.
Yeah.
That's grief.
That is grief.
That is pain.
That is an unexplainable pain. There are things which, and the things which hurt are things which you didn't cause. That is it is the most painful, because you see, if you caused it, you can say, okay, so next time I won't do that. But you didn't cause it. You didn't lead the husband into the room, or you didn't poke your baby and
And kill him?
No. And that's the thing that most people don't get about this. They can be like, but what didn't you do?
Thank you. I think that's a good question. Do you know why they ask, what didn't you do? Lord, what didn't I do? I did everything right. That is where the self-righteousness comes in.
Oh, Lord.
That's where, because we try to be in control. We
Yeah.
think if I did everything right,
Yeah.
then everything has to come out right.
Yeah.
If I did everything wrong, then everything has to be wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Now, I gave an example. I was having a talk and I said, have you seen those mad women on the streets? They have the most beautiful babies. They are not on folic. They don't have iron. They give birth to the child
Their
there. They
babies are
catch
so
their
healthy.
their babies are healthy. They are so yummy round. You've been on folic. You're on bed rest. You're what? Your baby dies. So what did you do? And what did she do? Do we still think we have control of anything
that's
pertaining
the
to
word.
our lives? Do we?
Do we think we have control of our lives?
Do we?
Aren't we supposed to yield to the maker, the
Yes.
creator,
Yes.
who knows what he's doing with us?
Yielding is the hardest thing. What's the hardest thing in marriage? When you sit with women, submit. Yield.
Yielding.
Yielding.
You give way. You let God walk through you like he wants.
Who wants to God to walk through? Everyone wants to hold the reins and be in charge and say, Neda, today at this day, at this time, at this njaga
And
kola
that
kino,"
is
and
what
then that's the problem.
increases the grief,
Yeah.
and people never
Get-
overcome.
yeah.
They never pass it.
No,
But Jesus is acquainted. He knows how to go through
he
it.
knows it. I think all the great
And this
men.
is what all of us need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
I
we
agree.
quit and give up the reins, the better things become.
And that's the thing. You try to control the situation and you're just going, like when you overturn a car and you try to, you're just going to keep flipping yourself over. So the thing is to just, and you just
Let go.
see, yeah, just let's see. Let's
think-
just see.
Let me repeat this. These things happen.
Yeah,
In other words, it means I'm not the first
no,
and I'm not going to be the last.
no.
If I understand that, then I cannot host a pity party.
No. You can host your pity party for a while. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a
No,
blow.
I totally understand.
This is a blow. You're going to first go down for a while. But when
when
the
you know these
opportunity
things-
comes to rise, don't wallow. And that opportunity, it's such a small window. If you don't take it, you can stay there forever. Like the Israelites, for 40 years, you can stay in that same position.
Thank you.
And the sad part about this is people move on.
Thank you. And God wants you to move on.
And he does want you to move on. Like
There's so much ahead of you.
There's a lot we can do, because I think we get stuck on the loss and we don't know he's the one, he's the giver of life, he's the provider, these children are gifts. And I always ask couples who come to see me and I'm like, are you enough for each other? If these children don't come, are you fine?
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Because you put so much pressure on each other. Oh my God, my womb, his sperm, his what? Let's go, doctor. Are you enough? You and are we together? If we don't get children, if God
Probably
says, okay,
because we don't even know the purpose of marriage.
what is it?
We think I marry my wife to
To have children. Now, there's a man who came and told me that, said, oh my God, my wife is having girls. I looked at him and I said, which biology class did you go to? You're the one who carries the Y chromosome, friend.
Thank you. Say it
Do
loud.
you know?
Now, I
And
want
he's
you to
like,
look
"Huh?"
in this camera and talk to a man who's had the challenge. Please take a second.
Please, men, Tubasabira, we are begging you. You guys, go Google conception. How to get a boy, how to get a girl. It is very simple. XX is we. We are the ones who carry XX.
Okay.
You have XY.
Okay.
Okay? XY means the Y is for the boy. Boys, you guys carry Y. There is no woman who has Y in her. Sorry, that's not how God made it. We carry our own. We have girl genes. You guys have boy, girl. So it's up to you to decide. It's not us. Please stop stressing your wives. Really, you're there with 5 girls, you're looking for the one boy, you're going to get 6 boys. Don't go outside, you're going to get other girls. So please.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Enjoy your wife.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite amazing. You've gone through all these losses. Now, there's this stuff that people talk about, the stages of grief. You know, I really don't. I call it nonsense, okay? I don't care whoever came up with it, but it's nonsense. I want to know what you think about it. The 5 stages of grief. Are you at stage 2? Are you trying to graduate to stage 3? Are you trying to get yourself promoted to stage 4? You go through all this stuff. I mean, I want you to tell me. What exactly, which stage are you on?
In an hour, I can go through all 5, if that helps you. But I think the mind, to try and understand grief, is us trying to be God.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. Trying to be in control.
Yeah, trying to be in control. And I know psychologists, it helps them so that you can determine your emotion. But I can wake up in the morning and I'm angry. Right? I'm in anger. Yeah. Then at midday, I'm like, man, it happened, and I'm okay. Then at 2, I'm like, but really, why? You know, it's not constant. It's not like it's linear. Grief is not linear. You can actually be, there's a lady, 16 years. She lost her child 16 years ago. And she called me and she said, oh, my daughter's anniversary is today, 16 years ago. I was like, 16. I was like, now what stage is she at now? Because it's not straight. It's not like, oh, we are going and then we are done. It's not something you pack and go with. Actually, the loss of a child. I thought loss of a parent was the worst. But loss of a child
is like you yourself dying.
You die. There's some death to self that happens there. And
it must.
You die.
Stop being in control.
You cannot be the same person you were before you lost your child. And that there is a big thing that women, mothers are suffering with, angel moms, is to grip with their past and the new person. Because the new person cannot stand certain things, cannot be in certain areas, cannot be in certain crowds, cannot do certain things. And it's okay. No one is telling you everyone is like, that girl changed. She lost her child and then she changed. I went through a traumatic experience. Of course I'm going to change. I'm not made of stone. I have a soul. It has feelings, emotions.
Actually, change has to happen because even values begin changing.
Yeah.
There's stuff you used to take for granted, but now you're holding high value.
You can't. And then there's also some kind of acceptance that comes with being an angel mom that no one can understand. That's why I said it's like God is trying to get all of us together, because there's something that He has placed in us that's going to come out. But you can't put old new wine, old skin.
In old wineskins.
No.
So He's got to deal with you.
Yeah.
You get out of the way.
Yeah.
And once again, trust Him.
Yeah.
And even get to realize that, you know what? This can also happen to me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that God hates me. It don't mean that I did not do everything correct.
Yeah.
But He's the potter.
Yeah. And we're the clay.
And we're the clay.
Yeah.
Now I have another question for you.
Okay.
In going through this, how did your husband handle this?
I don't know. I think handling. How
did he deal with it?
Handling. How is he handling? Because men, it takes, they bottle up. Because we had never experienced it. So he had, we've gone through so many storms, but this was the one that shook our foundation. And everyone says, oh, if you go through there's a bus, I know, that then you were not strong in either way. I was like, no, we were strong. This thing is not in that verse. It's not what God meant in that verse. I think He meant maybe when my husband cheats. So, yeah, but this one, He did not explain it, because there's a lot that comes with it, because you have to understand self. If you don't understand self, there's a lot of mistakes you're going to make along the way. And if you're trying to find yourself and you lose, you imagine you're running in that direction, you're going there, and then they tell you, there's a wall, you have to go back. Then you pass through the valley. Then that's where he was. And he had no one to walk with. That's the thing that men are not open about their grief. Even if they're going to talk about it, there's a guy who came to me and said, oh, I spoke to my brother. He asked me the other day, he's like, how are you doing? So I was like, so he's like, I'm fine. You're fine? Yeah, I'm fine. And they moved on. And I was like, you could tell him. You could sit down and say, listen, we had a miscarriage, and he's like, Kecho, who am I giving those details to? No, I was like, this is your brother. So if you can't talk to your brother, who are you going to talk to? He says, you get me another man who has gone through this. I said, okay.
Now, I would ask you a question. Why are the men not opening up?
I don't know. I wish I knew. No, but
would you agree with me that they don't want to open up because of ego?
Definitely, there's an ego thing. We had an event on Sunday, our organization, for men. It was a men's only event. We, the girls who were there, were the vessel team, were just registering, and these guys were like, why are you guys here? We're like, hey, your event is there, you can go and sit there and there's that thing culture has not protected, has not given men that space to say, okay, you know what?
To open
Come.
up.
But again, I disagree, because we had under the mango tree conversations with their kwete or whatever it is. Because my dad was like, when his father would collect all the men in the village, every Sunday afternoon, they sit under the mango tree. They discuss whose cow gave what, whose husband, whose wife, whose everyone. It was like update. It was CNN under the mango tree. But when we moved on, that culture stopped. Why? Because there was that rural urban migration. Whose home are you going to go to and start having this conversation? Yeah. Where? So it became every man deal with your own stuff by yourself. Yeah, let's come, Mabugo, give you a bust.
And I think also the identification of manhood.
Yeah.
Trying to define manhood, and you think that being a man means I don't open up, being a man means I don't talk. I was talking to a couple about a couple of days ago, and the man said, I grew up that way, I don't talk.
Yeah.
And their marriage was on the rocks. I grew up that way, I don't talk. And I told him, you grew up that way, but when you became a believer, you don't tell me how you grew up. Now you got to grow according to what Christ says. Open up and begin talking.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Kecho, I've seen grief. I suffered it. Grew up as an orphan. My mama died when I was a little child. I didn't even see her. And one time I was crying. I was praying. I was a minister, but I was praying. I was all alone and crying and just saying, Lord, you took my mama. I don't see even a father. Spiritual fathers are just another problem now. Okay, just give me a daddy. And like he spoke to you, he told me, go and be one. And I say, no, God, you don't get it. It's me.
Yeah.
Me that needs a daddy. And he said, you go and be one.
Yeah.
The problem is all you look at is yourself.
Yeah.
I humbled myself, took eyes off me, and this is what increases the grief. It happens, we begin focusing on us.
Yeah.
And we never realize that God wants us to reach out, and he can even use you to reach out. Today, I'm fathering thousands. I'm fathering many.
Yeah.
And I never had a father to really do the father role.
Yeah.
But I know how to talk. I know how to express my emotions.
Yes.
I know how to love.
Yeah.
I've overcome. There's something.
Yeah.
When I hear a woman go through that, it reminds me of my mother.
Yeah.
Because she didn't just die,
She
but she died with my sister.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
And today when I hear what you go through, I'm trying to relate with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just so much saying women must be honored.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And men must come in and play a huge role to support you and even encourage themselves, but also to be what your husband did when you were locking yourself up and wallowing in pity, and you were saying, why me? And he told you,
why not you?
why not you?
Yeah.
And you thought, he don't love me. Hey.
No, literally, that's how it came up. I was like,
I know.
I was like, this guy. You know how
My husband.
you're supposed to know me. How can you even say such a thing? You know, it came off like I was so offended.
Because the pity party feels good.
Oh, it's such a nice place. I like it. It's such a nice place. You just want to be there, and then everyone is being, they're walking on eggshells around you. They don't know what to say. They don't.
Exactly.
It's such a nice place.
And he's not ready to walk on eggshells.
He's like, listen, Mchala, you will come back to your senses now. Okay? You have a daughter living. I am here. We need to. How do we now go walk through this storm? It has come. It has hit us.
Your entire home can't come to a standstill.
It did. It did, and it does. It does, because you don't know what. I literally had to ask, what next? Because it takes everything that meant something to you.
And then, some men begin feeling like you don't even love them
you don't love
anymore.
them. That is it. And we're having a huge problem there, because they have bottled up. That bottling up, it has to find a way, escape. So it's either alcohol, another affair, a child outside of wedlock. So you're bringing already, of course, you've just given, you know how you give the devil an inch, you take a whole mile.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're giving him inkling instead of coming together. The marriage counselor we saw when our child was making 1 year, she asked us a very key question, and I every time my couples come, I'm like, have you grieved together? And I never understood it. We're looking at him, we were like, what? He said, yeah, you made the baby together, you have to grieve together. So have you grieved together? And I realized, I went in my own, he left and went his own way.
But in most cases, you never realize that you were actually drawing
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah. And you
Both of you
realize,
need to
yes,
come.
This is actually the whole point. Once this happens, shut yourself with your husband in the room, close out everyone, switch off your phones, be vulnerable towards each other. That intimacy that comes out of that is what God is trying to pull out.
And most men don't want that.
No, they don't. Because you even women, there are women who say, I'll be fine, they're hardened. It didn't affect me as much. If you sit down with her,
she'll break down.
She will.
She'll break down.
Yeah.
Now, with all that having come in, I realize so much that our viewers are able to learn. Break away this, you're not the first, you're not going to be the last, and this doesn't end with you. And hey, simply because it happened, it doesn't mean God is mad at me. Simply because it happened, it doesn't mean this is the end of me. I can still get myself up together. Lose control. Don't try to be in control. Lose control. There's the potter, you're the clay. And when you understand that, you're going to enjoy yourself so well. Many of us have gone through grief, and grief is not strange. It is part of walking on planet Earth, okay? Jesus was acquainted with grief. So don't walk in denial and think it shouldn't happen. It has happened. Don't ask why. Don't ask why it shouldn't, because that tries to get you in control. No, God is still in charge, and let him be. But before we close this, just have a few minutes. You've been talking about people coming to you. What is this coming to you? You say we have an organization. Do you have an organization that is able to help people out?
Yeah.
Going through grief and, losing their babies and helping the couples stay together?
Yeah. It started, when I went through this, I looked for a support group. In Uganda, Kampala, Mukono, wherever, anywhere, and there was nothing.
Zero.
Nothing. So I got my help from SANS, UK. There was a lady who would call me because of the time difference every single day to check on me. Then we had a mutual friend, my matron and I, who had gone through this, and she'd started, but she was in America. Okay, you just see where all my help is coming from? Outside countries.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, we have to do something. I have to do something. I was like, okay, if you're not going to give me the papa straight up, let me just jump on this one. Let me now call, put out there, tell people my story, and if you're looking for someone to talk to, come to me. I'm here, I'm available. So it started small, like 2, 3, 4, and then now it became, when are we meeting? Can we meet? I was like, okay, we can meet. I mean, you can sit, have coffee somewhere and talk. Then I realized, no, this is very sensitive. We need a specific space where we can sit and just, because we're breaking out of a mold. Our mothers inherited a silent generation, and they tried to pass it on, but I don't know. I think because we're in the information age, everyone wants to give, wants to tell, wants to be out there, but they just need a safe space.
That's true.
So I got a couple of ladies who had come out and shared part of their story, some in books, others who had just been looking for a space. And I said, okay, let's form this organization. So I went online and Googled and wondered, what do support groups do? How do they help? And I focused mainly on the moms, because that was my experience. My husband was still going through his storm. I was in the storm, but you know how you can be ahead and your friend is behind, but we are still walking in the same direction. Then we started having these monthly meetings, and someone told us, you know what, you have to formalize this, you have to legalize it so you can even start getting aid and whatever, because everything was coming out from the book proceeds.
You had written.
Yeah, so whoever, because we had 3 who had written a book, so whoever buys a book would give proceeds back into the organization to make it run.
So now what's the name of this organization?
So it's called Vessel is Me.
Vessel is Me.
Yeah, we are all vessels. That's
true.
that's the end
And now
point.
that you acknowledge that whatever happened to me, I'm a vessel of
I'm
God.
a vessel.
Okay.
So he's pouring in me, I'll pour out into someone else. We're all vessels. That's what we're here for.
Okay, where do
So,
you meet?
We meet in Bugolovi. Someone was very generous enough to give us their compound, and so we meet every second Saturday
How
of
can
the month.
somebody get in touch with you? Do you have a number?
We have a website.
Are you on Facebook?
We're on Facebook. It's called Friends of Vessel is Me. Then we have a website, vesselisme.org. That's where all the information is that they would like. They would need.
Vesselisme.org.
Yes.
Okay. And how about this book? Somebody wants to read this story, a powerful book. So What Next by Denise
Yeah.
Kekimuri.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can get it at Aristoc, Book Point, Uganda Bookshop, and all Worship Harvest locations, ministries locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful. So thank you so much for coming by and sharing your experience with us.
Thank you
And
for
I know many people that have been watching, you've had something and you've learned so much from Kecho. It is a pleasure to let you know that, hey, God may not start the pain, but whatever the devil means for evil, God is able to turn it around for good. And I'll be honest with you, pain is the only power that can break you out of your fantasy mode. Pain. And remember, you're not the first and you're not the last. People have overcome. People are heroes. They're not victims. So don't let grief turn you into a victim. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you once again. This is Cyrus Road. You're watching Unlocking Marital Bliss. And bliss stay in your marriage. Don't let any pain cease or stop bliss in your marriage. See you next time.
Unlocking marital bliss.